Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to speak to you today.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
taking the time.
My pleasure.
Um, I mean, what a show. Huge congrats on it. Almost impossible to talk about it in loads of detail without completely ruining all the incredible twists and turns. But how are you going about describing Paradise to people?
I'm starting with, it starts off as a sort of political sci-fi thriller, and then you realize that there's a lot more going on than initially meets the eye.
And what I love about it is, like you say, it kind of does bring together perhaps lots of different bits of genres, kind of a political drama like The West Wing, but then there's
Yeah.
very much this kind of thriller undercurrent. There's a bit of a whodunit in terms
With
of like
some
a murder
family
mystery,
drama.
but it's also very witty. And, there's all these kind of sort of darkly humorous moments that kind of cut through it too. When you read the script, what really jumped out to you?
Honestly, it was that combination. To be able to, in that pilot episode, give you all of that and then take your breath away in the last few pages. It was a thrilling idea to be a part of something like that. I feel like audiences are so sophisticated now, and if we can surprise people, it's exciting.
Samantha Redmond, the richest self-made woman. I was wondering, in terms of your reference points of that character, because I think we probably all know countless kind of self-made billionaires, tech billionaires are out there, but not that many women. So I wondered maybe in terms of how you saw her as a person, kind of that tenacity she has, but maybe also an edge of ruthlessness, and even the way she holds herself, how she's sort of transformed from when she was first starting out to how she looks today.
Yeah.
Where did you begin with Samantha?
So it all started on the page. Dan wrote such a beautifully complex woman. And to have that second episode where it digs so deep into her, her origin story, it was such a gift to me as an actor. And I think also for the audience to understand a little bit more where she's coming from, why, not to say that these decisions are the right ones, but why she is making the decisions she does make. So a lot of it was just there from Dan. I did read up on a number of female CEOs, and just sort of everyone has their own path. And that's what's interesting. There's no, one way to go about it. But I loved being able to play that duality of, a loving, caring family woman and cutthroat businesswoman. And we had huge help with the hair and makeup department. Sort of figuring out, okay, we need to tell the story of time and chronology. How do we do that where it still feels like the same person and doesn't take you out too much? When you see her suddenly with long hair, you're not looking for the lace front, or you're not trying to sort of uncover the secrets. So it was really fun to sort of discover with them how we could best do that and sort of show the passing of time.
And I guess, like many characters in the show, there's like a moral complexity there. I mean, we're not sort of clear cut saying, these are the good guys, these are the villains. Do you think Samantha would see herself as a villain, or would she think,
No.
ultimately she's trying to do the right thing?
Yeah, I think she ultimately thinks she is most definitely doing the right thing. I think the grief she suffers in the second episode, that never goes away. And every decision from then on is about protecting what she has left, her daughter and husband, and then ultimately mankind.
And I mean, the production values are absolutely through the roof. Everything about this series is just so slick. What was it like being on the shoot? What were some of the challenges? What were some of the highlights?
Honestly, I felt like I was describing it people when I first got there. I felt like I was on a giant ocean liner just cutting across the smoothest sea. Like it was so, I mean, in quotes, like the crew worked with Dan and Sterling on This Is Us. I would say probably like 85-90% of the people there had already worked together for 6 years. And so there was already an ease and a trust and an excitement to stepping onto that stage. Dan is a hugely energetic and joyful showrunner, creator. I mean, he was around all the time, cheering us on, either what we were about to do or what he had just seen or what was to come. And Sterling, too, is just a joyful person who wanted everyone to have a good time. So, it's intense when the cameras are rolling, but when they weren't, oftentimes it was really fun and funny and easy. We'd take our moments when we needed them before certain scenes, but it was pretty relaxed and joyful thing. And we also had the studio support from the beginning, and that goes a long way towards feeling like, people are excited about what you're making.
And Sterling, I mean, I've seen him do some phenomenal roles already, but I feel like maybe this is even arguably his best. I mean, just the way he takes on this secret agent role. It was almost like it's kind of an audition for James Bond. I don't know if you can do a British accent. What was it like seeing him take on this role and give this performance?
Oh, it was so fun. He has so much going on underneath the surface, and it's so fun in this role to feel all of that there and see it all behind his eyes without him having to tell us about it at every moment. And he just has such magnetism and power on screen.
And James Marsden is this kind of smoking, drinking, very dryly witted
Ne'er do
president.
well president.
And I was remembering, obviously, you guys were together in Ally McBeal all those years ago. So
Glenn and Jenny.
Oh my God, I love that storyline. So were you kind of reminiscing? I guess maybe you have a bit of a shorthand with each other when you've worked together before.
Totally. I love James. He's such a good, funny, decent man. And it was a joy to be reunited with him. I've only seen him probably a few times in the last like 20 years. But every time it's like no time has passed. And it was actually very meaningful for me just personally, when you are doing it long enough and you start to see people again, feels really special. But particularly, the scene where he chases Sinatra out of the like Davos meeting and sort of asks about her son. Like, our two characters know each other for a long time, but only surfacely as acquaintances. But to have that history there in life felt like it just gave that scene so much more. I was looking across at somebody I knew when we were both, much younger and starting out and excited, and just to see, I just felt we were together all these years later. So it was really fun and meaningful.
And I guess like any of these kind of shows, you can sort of be sort of hooked in on an entertainment level, on the edge of your seat, wondering what's going to happen next. But of course, you can be also making lots of kind of parallels to our current world, to our current day, about power, about who gets to make these decisions about our future. What does the future hold? Where does your mind take you? Are we heading towards any kind of apocalyptic event? So what do you think people can also take away in terms of it thematically?
I think, it does feel like a very current for where we are in society in many different ways. But I feel like, we weren't thinking of anyone or anything specifically when we were making it. I believe I heard Dan say that he even came up with the idea before This Is Us, the kernel of the idea. So it's purely fiction. I think it does particularly, if it's shining a little light on the climate crisis and maybe making people think twice about certain actions in their own life, like that's exciting to me. And for sure, money, power, politics, maybe not always the best combination, but mostly we just want people to enjoy the ride and just have a moment where they can check out of their own lives and sort of grab some popcorn and shout at the screen at each shock that comes one after the next. And that's what I had every time. At literally finishing every episode, I would gasp or be audible in some way because there's so many twists.
And of course, you've had such an incredibly varied career. Thinking of even more recent roles, from Mary of Easttown and I, Tonya, and now this. How do you make those decisions of what you're going to do next? And have you got any itches left to scratch? Something you haven't tried yet?
Sure. Well, I choose work basically on if I respond to it and am lucky enough to have it cross my desk. I usually am excited by complex characters, someone I haven't played before. it always starts on the page, but then whoever else is involved is always exciting to me, or if it's a director I've wanted to work with. And there's definitely more to do. I don't know what that's going to be. I just did 3 episodes of a comedy in the States, which was so fun. So it would be so nice to continue doing things where there's more laughs and fewer tears.
I have to revive Ally McBeal.
Yes, bringing back Ally. Where are they now?
I would love that. I think that's my time up, but thank you so much for sharing all that with me. And I can't wait for everyone else to tune into Paradise. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Really nice to chat to you. Thank you.
You too.
Bye.